Hi YouTube, welcome back to Wtf Rc Cars. So, been quite a while since I've done a video on using these controllers, both the Pro and the NB4, with a PC for VRC Pro. So we're going to go through that. I'm going to show you what's changed, show you that they both work with it, show you what to check on your PC once you connect them. And hopefully it'll clear up a bit of confusion, because the video I did from quite a while back, you had to put the NB4 into PC mode, and since the more recent updates that's not been a thing, it just does it automatic for you. And there's also some slight changes in the way that Windows picks the NB4 and the Pro up as a games controller. So I'll run you through a few settings, I'll tell you how to set your NB4s up. You are better off setting a model memory on the NB4 and the Pro for PC, and then you can assign various buttons which come in useful on VRC Pro, because you can assign a button to just press it and it'll reset your car, put it back on track. There is a few other things you can change as well, but right, let's crack on with video. Right, so what we're going to need to do on the Pro, you're going to need to go to model memory, choose one, then you can name it. So we're just going to call this PC. Channel number definition we're going to set on 4, and then you want to go in assignment. There's going to be SWR1 is going to be assigned to channel 4, you want to remove that. And then I believe we have also got, I think it's SW3 or 2, no, oh yeah, it's the VR1, so we need to remove that one, so we don't have any channels assigned, so you've got nothing showing up green on here. And then on the NB4 we can choose a blank channel, we'll call that PC. Channel number, have it set on 4, and then again on assignment we've got SR1, so we need to get that off and change it to none. And then there's going to be the VR1 set to 3, so we need to change that so it's on none. And again, so you don't have any of the green bars showing up unless you're pressing something. Basically what it does to VRC Pro, if either of these are set to one way, so it's like a two function button, when you go to configure the buttons it'll think you're pressing something all the time and won't let you do it. Right, so let's get these two connected to the PC and I'll show you the differences between them. Right, so first thing we're going to want to do is open control panel. So if you just hit the start menu, start typing control panel, and then it'll show up. And then we go to device and printers, and this is where it's going to let us see what devices are actually connected. So if first off we connect the NB4, that'll show up as Flysky NB4. Right click and go to controller settings. And I do find this works better with no other controllers plugged into your PC. You can go into this option and click advanced and then make sure it's set as your preferred device, although sometimes I've seen VRC Pro completely ignore that and just go to the Xbox controller that you've got plugged into your PC. With the NB4 there's nothing to configure, and this is not an issue, it works absolutely fine. So let's disconnect the NB4 and I'll now connect the Noble Pro so you can see the difference between these two. So we have the EU version of the Noble Pro, and they do both detect as different devices and they do work slightly differently. So although you've still got the option to set it to preferred default, when we go into properties on this one, you basically, this one shows up like a normal controller does. So you can see that your X and Y axes are working, and if you press the two buttons on the actual controller on the bottom, on the grip,
that's them two, and the two buttons on the top, even though they're not set to a channel, they still work. And the NB4 works in exactly the same way, it just doesn't show up on here. And the Z-axis and the X-axis, now them you can set to a channel, so you can set channel 3 and 4, and you can make those functions so they will be adjustable channels within VRC Pro, but they're not really that useful. So first thing we're going to do now is get VRC Pro installed. So what you're going to want to do now is go to the VRC website, so it's www.vrcworld.com, and in this top corner you've got downloads, so we can click on that one and you can either download the archive one or the setup.exe. So we'll go for setup.exe, select your downloads folder and just click download. Once this is downloaded, you can just click open, and we don't need this page anymore. So you will get a UAC prompt appear, and it's just asking you where you want to install it. And you may also get the DirectX one come up, so you can just click apply and click through that one. And then we should have a VRC Pro icon on the desktop. So you can just click run on that one. It does an auto update. Right, so we're going to start with the NB4 connected to the PC. Then you want to click on your VRC Pro and let that start. I'm going to run this in Windows mode. I'm going to do my best to not let the game sound go all over the top of my voice, because it's got an habit of doing that. So I'll try and keep the game audio really low. So, you get to the main screen, you're going to want to click on Options, Control Options. You're going to want to make sure your drop down menu is selected for the NB4. Then first thing we're going to want to look at, and this may be set on off because I've been using this, so if you pull the trigger and it goes to a reverse minus number, you want to reverse your throttle, so that's correct. Check your steering, and then you want to go to customization. Now for me, I have the turn marshal, and I press the right hand flap button as you're looking at the steering wheel, and then force pit I have on the left, and then you've also got the two buttons on the actual grip, so you can set them to whatever you like. So you can have it to camera zoom in, zoom out, whatever you want really. You can set your dead zones and everything, but I pretty much find it fine to leave it all as standard. Steering exponential and throttle and brake exponential, you can leave them as they are. You can also change them on the remote itself. So if we just press OK, go into practice. And then we'll see if I can show you how it works. So we've got us throttle and everything set up.
Enjoy your racing.
And if you do have a massive wipeout, you can just hit the button on the right of the controller. So if you completely screw up, that'll put you back on track. And if you want to go back to pits, press the button on the left of the steering wheel, set you back to pits. And then you've got your zoom in, zoom out. So if you want a closer look, give you a better idea of what's going off with the RC. Some people might prefer to run on the more zoomed in view, or you can zoom all the way out, give you a wider shot of the track.
Left 1, 61.33 seconds.
Get plenty of practice in these horrible wintry conditions we've got. So let's now switch over to the Noble Pro and I'll show you if there's any differences on that one. So again, you want to start with the controller connected and powered up first, because VRC Pro is very easily confused. So we'll just wait for the actual game itself to start, or simulator, whichever way you want to look at this. And then, much like with the NB4, with the Pro, you're going to want to go into options, and then control options, and like if you, on mine, because I've had the other controller connected, it'll say it's disconnected, so choose the controller that you've got. And then you should pretty much be able to use the same settings. Yeah, so it needs throttle reversed. The only real difference with the Pro, if you come to this screen and for some reason your steering was off, what you can do on the Pro, you can press calibrate. You can also just use the throttle and brake trim and steering trim, but on the Noble Pro, because it works with the Windows calibration screen, you can then click on properties and you can come to this screen and you can press calibrate, and then you'll get this screen and you just press next. Don't press any buttons on the controller and press next, and then you can go full left, full right, full throttle, full reverse. Do it a few times, make sure it's got it, and it'll center. Then you don't have to worry about these, and just press OK, apply, and then usually it'll forget that it's got a controller connected for a few seconds. So if you just keep moving the steering wheel, eventually it'll come back. And then again, you can go to customize, so you can go to your turn marshal, and again I choose the right hand button of the steering wheel, left hand button, but you really can set these to anything you like. But you can also set if you want to assign one of the variable channels, you'll get the X and Y, I think, or Z and X. Basically you'll get the 2 extra variable channels, but I've not really found them that useful, because most of the things in this simulator you just set up from the actual program itself. You don't need to use much on the controller. We're just using it for the input.
Welcome to this track. Enjoy your racing.
But it's definitely, it'll definitely teach you throttle control. Because if you just pin the throttle on this, bearing in mind these are all race spec vehicles, so even the slower ones are very responsive, but you will get a lot more sort of respect for how much you hit the throttle and where you brake in and how much you turn the wheel. And these skills do carry over to real RCs really, really well.
Lap 1, 20.26 seconds.
See if I can get into low 19s. It is nice that on practice you've got another car to sort of aim for.
Lap 2, 22.0.
But not driving like that.
Seconds.
And there you just press the right hand button to the steering wheel and it'll line you back up just as a marshal, putting you back on track. It does take a lot of concentration,
57 seconds.
but it can be a lot of fun. It can also be extremely frustrating, so yeah, get ready to not throw your controller in rage, because you don't want to be wrecking your NB4 or your Pro.
Lap 7, 19.89 seconds.
But it is, I would say it's almost as rewarding as when you're on a real track. When you get a lap time and you try and beat it, and then you see yourself improving. It is quite enjoyable.
20.28 seconds.
And you can also go online and race other people. Now this is the free version. I did subscribe for a while, but I didn't find myself using it that much. But the free version's definitely enough to get into it and get some practice.
75 seconds.
But it's certainly something to hone your skills on.
19.62 seconds.
And if you've got one of these controllers as well, it's just something else that lets you get a bit more use out of it.
Lap 11, 20.04 seconds.
And especially in long winters, cold winter months, let you get a bit more practice for driving your RCs.
Lap 12, 18.4 seconds.
We got an 18 point something seconds lap though, so quite happy with that. But let's wrap this one up.
So there you have it. Hope that clears up a bit of confusion. The only thing I will say is, depending on what the power capabilities are of the USB port on the device you're using, keep an eye on your battery level on your controller and the battery level on the power base. If you're running USB 1 or a really low quality cable, you can get a position where your PC physically can't supply enough power to power the power base and the controller, and it'll slowly drain the battery. So if you're playing for hours and hours and hours, you could drain the battery in the handle completely, and then your NB4 or your Pro won't turn on. Most modern PCs can easily supply enough power to charge the power base and power the NB4 or Pro and charge the battery inside, but occasionally you will get it where the battery will start dropping down, so keep an eye on it. It's only usually the older PCs with USB 1 standard or a very low quality cable. But hopefully you find this interesting and useful, entertaining. Don't forget to share to friends and family, anybody you might find it useful. And don't forget to hit the notification bell. And I'll catch you guys again in the next one.